Hello students, welcome back in economics classes. Today we are going to discuss the last part of chapter number 4, and that is compare between return to a factor and return to a scale, and stages of operation and decision of producer, and one more topic is there, that return to a scale and its contents. So students, we are going to discuss this topic. Before that, I want to tell you that you have completed the work till chapter number 6, I hope so. And today's topic, one question is very important: differentiate between return to a factor and return to a scale. Many times they are asking in 2 marks, and sometimes they are asking in 3 marks also. So let us go through with today's topic. First topic for today is stages of operation and the decision of to produce. So as a producer, which stage you have to produce, or you should produce, or you want to produce? It is a question mark for the operators or producers. So as you are watching here, that firms want to produce in stage second. Why they want to produce in stage second? This is a question mark, and this question many times they are asking in 2 marks, that why a producer is willing to produce in second stage. So we'll get this answer afterwards. First of all, we should know why a producer is not willing to produce in first stage and third stage. So let us go for that one. So under third stage, why a producer is not willing to produce? So marginal product of variable factor is negative. You know well that while I have explained law of variable proportion, that in third stage MP was negative. It means that while additional workers are introduced, then marginal production after every additional unit is going to be negative, and it is increasing in negative. So no producer want that he is employing the additional unit, and result of that one decrease in total product. So we can say so that as a producer you are not willing to produce in third stage. So this stage is also known as stage of economic nonsense, because in nonsense can only want to introduce that new variable or new variable units for production. Why? Because of negative marginal product or reducing total product. So I hope this point is clear. So as a producer you are not willing to produce in stage third. I hope so it is clear. So producer can increase his total productivity by employing less or variable less the variable factor. So if even the variable factor is free, that total product will not increase in third stage. Why? Because already overcrowding is there in third stage. So I told you that in third stage you are not willing to produce. So it is clear that as a producer you are not interested in stage third. Why? Because after introducing additional unit, your TP is not increasing, that is decreasing, and MP is going negative and increasing in negative after every additional unit. So you are not willing to increase the production in stage number third. So now we are going to discuss stage number 1. So as a producer you would not like to operate in stage first. Why? Because that average product of variable factor is increasing. So you can go through the table and you can come to know that in first stage that AP is increasing after every additional unit. What is AP means? Every additional unit when we are adding, then average product is increasing. So 100, 110, 120, 130, 130. So it is increasing after every additional unit. So what is the problem here? The producer would avoid producing the stage because of expanding its output. It reduce the average cost. So average cost should be reduced. after every additional unit. As a producer, you will also think so. So I think so in this stage also you are not going to continue, because that average cost will increase after every additional unit. And one more motive is there, or one more point is here, that we are not working on optimum utilization of resources, or fuller utilization of resources is not being used in first stage. So that's why that average production cost is increasing after every additional unit. So as a producer, I think so you are not willing to produce in stage 1. I hope so it is clear. So now next, as a producer, why you are willing to produce in stage 2? First of all, I would like to discuss, then I will go for another topic. So that as a producer, I want to produce in stage 2nd. Why? Because that here TP is increasing by decreasing rate, but increasing, and MP is not negative. So we can say so that as a producer, I would like to go for stage 2nd. Why? Because that producer want to operate and produce within such a stage in which he is having increment. So in second stage, increment is there, either slow increment is there, but even then increment is there in total production. So as a producer should operate in second stage, not in third stage, not in first stage. Why not in first stage? Because that optimum use of resources has not been used, and third stage not, because that MP is negative, it means that TP is decreasing. So no producer want to decrease the total production, and no producer want that additional average cost should be increased after every additional unit, because that fuller utilization is not there of the resources. So in second stage, that TP is increasing and average cost is also decreasing. So as a producer, I would like to produce in stage 2nd, neither stage 3rd or nor stage 1. So now we are going to discuss variation of output in the long run returns to a scale. So what is long run, or what is returns to a scale? It is very clear that all that factors of production are changing, then we can say that we are having returns to a scale. So however, in long run the output can be increased by changing all the factors of production, but even then we have to keep it in mind that variation of scales. Otherwise we may have decreasing return, we may have increasing return, or we may have constant return. So according to the need of that producer, we are using different returns to a scale. So I will discuss this thing afterwards, but first let me go to a statement. When all inputs are changed in the same proportion, we can call this change in the scale of production, and this way total output changes due to change in scale of production is known as law of returns to a scale. So while we are changing all the factors of production, and due to that that output is increased, that is known as returns to a scale. So all the factors are being changed, in which ratio, in which way we can change, in which variation we can change. So as I told previously that there are three scales: constant return, increasing return, and decreasing return. So let us go through one by one. First of all, we are going for increasing return. So what is constant return? So what is constant return? When we are increasing that input in such a way that output is also increasing. So proportion of that input and proportion of the output is same, that is known as constant return. For example, that 1 capital plus 1 labor is equal to 100 output, and 2 capital plus 2 labor is equal to 200 output. So we can say so that ratio of the input and output is increasing in the same ratio, or in constant ratio. That's why it is known as constant returns. So let us go through the statement. if increase in the output is in the same proportion as increase in the quantity of input. So proportion of the input and proportion of the output is same. So 1 capital 1 labor 100, 2 capital 2 labor 200. So proportion or the ratio is same. So that's why it is constant return to a scale. I hope so it is clear. So now we are going to discuss about increasing return. So increasing return means output is increasing more than the input. That is known as increasing return. So let's go the statement. Increasing returns to a scale means that increase in the output is more than the proportional change in the increase in input. So just like we have discussed about elasticity of demand or elasticity of supply, the same thing is here. While we are changing less in input and more changes are held in output, that condition is known as increasing return. So 1 capital 1 labor is equal to 100 units of production, and 2 capital 2 labor is equal to 250. It should be 200 but it is 250. It means it is more than the expectations or more than that ratio of input. So we are having the increasing return. So such condition is known as increasing return. So sometime that increasing return is not there, we may have decreasing return also. So what is decreasing return? So output is less with the ratio to the input. So we are increasing more in input, but output is less in comparison to input. So let us go through the example. 1 capital plus 1 labor is equal to 100 and 2 capital plus 2 labor is equal to 150. So it should be 200 but it is only 150. So this is known as decreasing return. So sometimes we are having increasing return, sometimes we are having decreasing return, and sometimes we are having constant return. So it depends on that variations in long run. So which variation we are going through, according to that the return will come to us. So whatever the causes of these returns may be there, it may be economies and diseconomies. So this variation in returns or proportion, how it is being changed, it depends on economies and diseconomies, and that we'll discuss in the next chapter, while we'll discuss about cost and that price. TP and TC will discuss, then we can discuss about this economies and diseconomies also. Particular topic is there, so I'm not going to discuss in detail. So I want to mention only this thing that decreasing return, increasing return and constant return depends on economies and diseconomies in the economics. So let us go through that comparison between variable factor and comparison between return to a scale. So let us go through. Law of variable proportion relates that returns to a factor wherever the returns to a scale is the production returns to a factor. Means change in physical output when a quantity of a factor is changed, that is returned to a factor, and when whole scale is changed, then it is known as return to a scale. So I hope so it is clear. Second point, variable proportion studies that effect of change in one input on the output. So variable proportion means one factor is discussing about one factor is being changed, what will the impact of output, and return to a scale is discussing that when we are changing proportion of the factors, then whatever the change is there in the output. So we are changing all the inputs, then whatever the change in the output. And the third one, the law of variable proportion is a short run phenomena, or we can say so that in short run we can change only one factor, so it is short run phenomena. In long run we can change all the factors, so it is long run phenomena. And the fourth point, it takes account of the change in the factor proportion where returns to a scale unchanged the proportion factor proportion. So return to a scale we are changing the scale, not the factor, and return to a factor we are changing the factor, not the scale. So proportion of the factor is changed in return to a factor, while in return to a scale the factor proportion is not being changed, scale is being changed. So last point is given in book that we can discuss. Law of variable factor is depend on increasing and decreasing return of a factor, to a factor. Means law of variable proportion, while we are discussing about to a factor, then depends on increase or decrease in a factor. But while we are discussing about return to a scale, that is due to economies and diseconomies. So in variable factor, if we are increasing variable factor, if we are decreasing variable factor, then impact is there on the output. But while in return to a scale, economies and diseconomies are having the impact on the output in the scale. So I hope it is clear. Now the last point we are going to discuss, that is return to a factor and return to a scale differentiation. So in return to a factor, quantity, only one factor is changed. So quantity of all inputs are being changed, not only a factor. Second one, short run phenomena, return to a factor, and return to a scale, long run phenomena. In short run or in return to a factor, the factor proportion change, but in return to a scale, factor proportion remain unchanged. While fourth one we are going to discuss, no change in the scale of production, but return to a scale, we are changing the scale of production. So these were the topic for today, and I hope so you understood. So if you are having any problem, you can write me in comment section. Now it is the time for question answers. So you can take the questions. Question number 1, question number 4, question number 6, then 7, then 9, then 11 and 12. And next page, wait a minute. Next page, question number 13, question number 15, then question number 20, then question number 23, then question number 25, then question number 27, then 33, and then 38 and 39. Here 38 and 39. So I hope so it is clear. Now we are going to the short answers. So short answers only 7 are there, you can complete all. In long answers I am going to discuss. Question number 1 you can complete. Wait a minute. Question number 1, question number 4, then question number 6, then question number 9. These questions you have to complete. So that's all for today. I hope you have understood the concept today.